And welcome back to another episode of Cognitive Cuisine, where we stir up soulful conversations that nourish the mind and spirit. I am your host, Wize, Wil Otero.
And I am Yayoi of Brain to Belly.
And good morning.
Good morning. Yes.
All right, so today we're going to discuss how do we serve others without losing ourselves? Because we are in the place in the field where we serve others. How do we not lose ourselves in trying to serve others?
That is such an important question. And um, I think people of course, in our profession, and also, I guess, yeah, we do have a tendency to overserve others and forget about ourselves. But I think the main thing that we need to keep in mind is that we need to do self-care first. My mentor always says, physician, heal thyself. And I love that phrase because it's something that we overlook a lot. And we need to be in the best condition that we can be in order to help anyone.
Mhm.
Um, I saw that firsthand when I remember my mom. Well, my mom's always had like an illness. She's always had some kidney issues, and she wasn't always in the best shape, but she was okay. But she would try. But then when my dad also got sick, it was one of those where you realize if they can't both be well enough to take care of each other, it's not going to work out well. So it was always watching that. I realized, we really have to take care of ourselves first, or else both are going to fall, right? Both parties are going to fall. So I think that also, and you just go into burnout mode,
Mhm.
and when that happens, you're not any use to anyone, even yourself.
Yeah, it's like when they tell you on the airplane, put your air mask on first
Yeah.
before you help anyone else.
Yep.
And so we have to figure out how do we,
Stay grounded.
yeah, how do we stay grounded and how do we continuously fill our cups up
Mm-hmm.
while still pouring into others.
Yeah. And I think that's such an important question. And it really goes back to creating your boundaries,
Hmm.
because it's hard. It's hard to create boundaries because I know for you and for me, it's like you just want to serve, serve, serve. You want to help everyone. And then you're like, oh, I'm so exhausted, right? At the end of the day. And it's really about taking the mini breaks that you can. Oh, there's a great story about that. I'm going to share it with you. My mentor shared this story um, about this guy who was an older guy. He was one of the best wood choppers in the world, right? And he would chop wood. And then this young kid came along saying, okay, old man, I challenge you to chopping wood, right? So they did this contest where they would the one that chops the most wood in the 8 hours or whatever is going to be the best wood chopper. So they both do it, and they're both starting. The young guy's like, yeah, I've got power, I've got this. So he's like chopping really quickly and with a lot of power and everything. And then after an hour, the older guy takes a break. He goes, I'm going up for a break. And he goes up the mountain to his little shack. And after 15 minutes, he comes back. And then he starts chopping again. And, when you look at it, the young guy's winning this
Yeah.
contest. And then another hour goes by. The old guy goes up the mountain, rests for 15 minutes and comes back, goes to his shed and comes back and starts chopping again. And this went on for the last couple of hours. And then at the end of the day, they looked at, the young guy's like exhausted by the 8 hours. And they're looking at the piles that they created. And for some reason, The old guy's pile of wood was larger. And the young guy's like, well, why is this? He goes, you were resting 15 minutes every hour you would rest for 15 minutes and you weren't chopping. And he goes, you thought I was resting. The old guy goes, you thought I was resting. No, I went up the hill to sharpen my axe and I came back with a sharpened axe. That's why.
Mm.
Yeah. Because
So
that's,
yeah, so he would cut through more efficiently through the wood because he
ex-
had a sharpened axe, and
yeah,
the guy kept chopping with the dull axe.
exactly. Isn't
Ah,
that a great
that's a
story?
great story. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not very good at telling stories, but I figured that was a good story to tell, so I thought I gotta
No,
tell
no,
it.
no. It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah, this is definitely a topic that us being people that serve others is it's something that we should discuss because people out there, there's people like us out there who are burning themselves, like you said, burnout.
mhm,
A lot of creators and coaches and all these, they're burning out because they're doing so much themselves. Like
mhm.
us, as like we don't, you don't really have a team that it's Team Yayoi, and
Yeah, yeah, yep, I do everything. I'm the cleaner, I'm the I'm the tech person, I'm the marketing person.
yeah, as Team Yayoi, I know, and same with here, and
Yeah,
so we have to figure out how not to burn ourselves out. How
yeah,
do we take time to just
nourish, yeah,
relax and take moments for ourselves to recharge our batteries.
yeah, and it's really not just the body, but also your mind
Mhm.
and your soul, right?
Yeah.
Your heart. And I think the easiest way to do it is to really set up your rituals, your morning rituals, your alone time, because we all need something that's going to recharge our batteries. And
And if
yeah,
you listen to a lot of our episodes, that's one of the things that's a constant in our episodes is Yayoi talking about rituals.
yep,
It's building rituals, it's building habits that are productive and helpful to us to help maintain a recharged battery.
yeah. And, even in the weight health industry, like, when you're trying to lose a few pounds or when you're trying to stay healthy, it's all about the routines that you've put in place, right? It's about the healthy eating. Okay, so if it's like you want to get more fruits and vegetables in, let's say, for example, and that's to maintain a healthy body, right? Well, the easiest way to do that is probably by setting up like once a week, you go out to buy your fruits and vegetables for the week.
Mhm.
Setting up routines like that so that it makes it easier for you to do it. Because, as human beings, we're lazy. We're kind of lazy, right? And if we don't have to do it, we won't do it. And if it's difficult to do, if it takes too many steps to do something, it's going to be more difficult for us to start doing it. And that's where the procrastination comes in, right? Because I don't want to go through all those steps, blah, blah, blah. And I think if we make a routine easy for us to do, so that's why, simplifying things to the core is probably the best way to approach a lot of these things. Yeah, so I don't know. I That's what I like to do is like when COVID hit, I think I tell this story a lot. Um, I was supposed to start working from home and I was like I only worked from home like when I had special permission to work from home or like it was a Friday, summer Friday or something, right? And I remember asking my boss, "So how am I gonna do this?" And she goes, "Don't worry, just set up a routine, create a routine." And I was like, "Huh?" And it was like first I was like, "What?" Right? But then what I did was I started setting up my own personal routine around my dog's walking schedule because that was something I needed to do that
Yeah.
was already a routine. So I set up a routine on top of the other routine that I have. And they say that scientifically, when you want to create a new habit, put it on top of or similar, adjacent to another habit that's already established, because that's easier for us, our brains to function, take it in, and also for us to learn that new pattern.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I'm working on is building my routine and work. And like you said, we're lazy, and sometimes I don't want to get up, but it's something I have to continuously do. I have to build it up. I have to continuously do it in order to make it a ritual.
Oh, yeah.
Because
And
I might go burn hardcore for 2-3 weeks, and then I won't read it. I won't do it today. Well, I won't do it. And that's where it starts slacking. That's where you start lagging, and
yeah,
that's something I need to work on. Procrastination is another big thing for me as well. I need to work on that, and these are things that you take into consideration, and you start working on them. You
yeah,
start applying these things, and stop. I think with people who procrastinate, one of their biggest fears is if I don't do it, then I can't fail.
that's true. That I know that that's the mentality. Yeah. But it's like, even if you do, let's say, for example, you say that you're going to start doing, I don't know, push ups every day, let's say, for example,
Yeah,
right? And you're like, okay, 10 push ups a day. And you're like, I have to do 10 a day. I have to do 10 a day. And there's some days that you're like, I don't want to do it,
yeah,
right? And, but the thing is, even if you do, let's say, 2 out of the 10, you're still making a step forward. You're still making progress. And that's what we have to remember, to be kind to yourself. And even
yes,
2 is better than 0,
yeah, yeah,
right?
and that's what it is. I think it is because when you kind of fall off the ritual,
Yeah.
you start beating yourself up like, oh, see, I'm going back to how I was,
No.
instead of realizing, hey, but you've been doing it. Like,
Yeah.
yes, you need to build up a little bit more consistency, but and that's the thing. That's something that we people don't realize. We are our harshest critics. We are the
Mhm.
roughest on ourselves. So we tend to punish ourselves in the most weirdest
Brutal
ways,
way.
because it's the shit that we do with we're just affecting ourselves. It's not, and and we kind of like know this, but yeah, we still continue with the same fucking bullshit. And so it's like,
Well, yeah. I think it's also like, by talking it through, you realize, when you realize, like, you're talking crap to yourself, right?
yeah,
Just say stop, and say, let me flip it and see if it's from a different perspective. How would I see it? Or even just have that awareness to say, stop, let me do it, you know, and like, almost like, I always say, celebrate yourself. Celebrate any win that you have, any, even if it's that one push up, right? It's still a win. Like,
I kind of feel like you're telling me I need to do one push up.
no, 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 no. That's just,
I know.
but it's like, well, whatever win you have, whatever, whatever thing you're going to set out to do, even if you do 5 minutes of it or even 2 minutes of it, it's better than not doing it at all.
Yeah,
And I think that's the main thing, is that and, we, like, talking about celebration, we always celebrate children, right?
hmm,
When your kid's taking their first step, let's say, for example, they keep on falling. They can't stand up. They're still not stable. And they keep on falling down. And once they could stand up, you're like, yay, right?
yeah,
You have to treat yourself with that kindness. You don't have to go crazy like me and go, yay. But you could say, yes, I did it.
yeah. And
And that
and that's what
reinforces it.
and that's no, that's absolutely right. That's something we tend not to do,
Hmm.
is celebrate ourselves, is to realize that we still need those cheers. We still need those little wins to
Yeah.
help boost ourselves up and be like, look, I got this. I can do this. And then And again, it can be the programming that we've been going through for
Yes.
so many years
Mm-hmm.
that we're still stuck in that phase and tend to lose the fact that we still need that celebration of ourselves.
Yeah.
We need that doesn't change just because we get older.
No, no.
But that's what society wants you to realize. Is like, no, you can't. Oh, you was a little child. That's when we no, you, you need that celebration even in today's society in your work, and you
Especially.
need people to recognize that you are working hard and you are doing things the right way.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, by celebrating yourself, you're also interrupting that bad pattern, right? Or that non-productive pattern that you've had of beating yourself up. You're breaking that pattern and instead you're inserting celebration, which is like, yay, I'm good, right? And by like even having a fist bump, yes, I'm good. Or like even, clapping or any of those gestures, that physical gesture also reinforces it in your brain that I'm celebrating myself. And what it does is it says, oh, you know what? That feels good. I want to keep on doing what feels good to myself, right? And human beings want to feel good. I mean, hey, you know, so by saying, yes, I did it, or like, yay, what it does is it reinforces that hit of it gives you that hit of dopamine that says, oh, I feel good about that. And you're kind of like reprogramming yourself with that. And I think we need to deprogram, get rid of that old pattern and put in the new pattern of behavior. And by acknowledging that, you're beating yourself up, okay, let's switch it. Let's celebrate, flip it from a different perspective. What does it look like?
Yeah,
And then celebrate yourself and say, yay, I did it. And then that'll build up the momentum to feel better each time you do it.
absolutely. Yeah, every time,
Hmm.
and that was something even within the last few years that I myself would not do is celebrate little accomplishments and little things. So that's what now I make sure I do all that. Like if I get a message from YouTube talking about, oh, you uploaded 850, I take that and I share it on my time feed, and every little small accomplishment I share.
Yeah. And, share and celebrate it
Hmm.
because we also have a tendency to seek validation from outside of us,
Yeah,
but it's really about celebrating and validating from within. So, it becomes easier when you don't have to worry about what other people are thinking, right? If I feel good about what I'm doing, then it's good enough. It's more than good enough. It's better than that, actually,
yeah,
because it really shouldn't matter what, I don't need to have somebody tell me, oh, you're great. I mean, yes, it feels good.
good.
It feels good. But if I'm not feeling it, then why would anyone be convinced that I'm good, right?
Yeah, no, you have absolutely right. You can't, and that was and for me prior to my surgery, that was one of my issues. Was look at me, I wasn't in the healthiest. I was not in the most healthiest state. Um, and I would see myself in the mirror and look in and I just was not happy with the reflection.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, how am I able to? Why, why would anybody want to be coached by anyone like looking like me? And then to me, it didn't matter what I knew or where I gained my experience. It didn't matter. It was just how I perceived myself looking in the mirror.
Hmm.
And so when you're in a situation like that where you're not filling your cup, you're actually depleting your cup even more.
Yeah.
when you do this
Yes.
and speak down to yourself, and you're like, oh, but again, we're human beings. We
Yeah.
go through these phases, and we go through these things where we look at each other, and we're not happy with what we see. And it took me, yes, I had my surgery. It's still something that I go speak to someone about and everything, because this is life altering. This is now I'm changing my life,
Yes.
and doing something completely different. Health for the right reasons.
Right.
I
Right.
wanna be healthy. I wanna maintain a weight, a real reasonable weight, and not feel sluggish. And since Sep- September of last year, I've lost a whole human being off me. It's like 80 something pounds have come off,
Yay.
and and I just feel the difference.
Yeah.
But I'm still have to work on some very bad habits. I got to get out of sitting my ass here and just recording. I need to go work, take my ass outside and walk and work out. And next, so it's still a process. It's still me learning what I can eat, what I cannot eat, what makes me feel better when I do eat it, and what kind of drags me down when I eat.
Hmm.
It's a whole different it's
It's
a whole
in,
different life.
yeah. And let me just celebrate you because I think it's wonderful that you went on this journey and that you're feeling better about yourself, your body, and physically. I mean, I remember you telling me about your sleep apnea, right?
Mhm.
And you don't need to use the machine
But
anymore or
like
less
now,
frequently, right?
yes, now if I fall asleep, I don't wake up constantly.
Yes.
Like before, when I didn't, when my machine was broken,
Yeah.
I would wake up every hour on the hour
Yeah.
and not get enough sleep. Now, if I fall asleep without my machine, I'll have a few hours of sleep and then wake up and be like, oh, maybe I should put my oxygen on. But
Yeah.
it's not that I've fallen asleep without it and woken up the next day with energy. I had actually gotten some decent sleep.
Good sleep. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, those are like little steps that, I mean, those are big achievements, right?
Oh yeah, no,
And
no.
yeah. And it's like your life has changed for the better because you decided to take one step forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's that, like you're stuck in your mind podcast. We're always stuck in our minds, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Saying, okay, I'm scared to take that first step. How is it going to change my life? How Because even if you're unhappy, it's human nature to kind of want to stay where you are, but what is it going to cost you to stay that way forever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why you took that step, right?
Hmm. Oh yeah,
Because you
no,
didn't
because
want to stay there. Yeah.
it was even now, right? When I had so much weight on me, it was it's not healthy for my lungs, and I had it was constrained. The weight was constraining the my lung
Hmm.
expansion. So it was kind of it was it was a little bit more difficult for me to breathe
Yeah.
because of that. And
Yeah.
so now, before I used to have all this pressure from it was just the weight, and I could just feel the pressure, and just sitting here and feel the pressure, and how my lungs were so being so constrained, and it was just like now, no, now it's like oh,
Yeah.
I can breathe.
Yeah.
It feels
And
so much better. Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah, because it's when we have like, well, talking about sleep and weight. I just finished. I just was it Sunday or Saturday? I can't remember now. But one of those days, I was on a panel. I was one of the panelists for a micro summit, and
Hmm.
it was on sleep. And we had all these, I think, five different coaches of different, who specialize in different things.
Yeah.
We all talked about sleep. And of course, my thing was on weight and sleep, but but those things are just so important that even like we always said, even with the sleep thing, just making that first step to get to better sleep, that intention is the first step that we all have to take. And it's the hardest step, that intention part,
Yeah.
because it's taking action. But then, I think the next thing you have to think about is, well, if you stayed without taking that action, how are you going to feel? And
Yeah.
usually we feel awful. We're like, yeah, it's comfortable staying here, but what are the risks that our bodies are taking on, our minds are taking on? And what is the risk that our families, people that are close to us, are taking on by us not changing or not taking that first step?
Yeah. Yeah. No, no. It's definitely a big change because now I'm thinking, all right, I want to be here longer for my grandkids. So I wasn't headed down the right path. Like people see me now and they're like, oh my God, it's like it's a big change.
Yeah,
And again, it was crazy because I was not that far from 400 pounds, and so now to be where I'm at now and feeling the way I feel and having the energy that I have, and it's like okay, all right, let's continue this. This the weight keeps coming off. I'm still like people says, what's your ideal weight? I'm like okay, I don't know, but I'm like 225, 230 would be happy with.
yeah.
The, I know the chart says differently, but I
Well,
yeah,
I don't follow those charts at all because they were made by pharmaceuticals and the medical industry,
yeah,
right? And I'm like, your body knows what is
but
optimal for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. My thing is always listen to your body. And people are like, well, how do you listen to your body? And it's not easy because you have to listen to yourself and
It,
figure
it
out,
is it is
yeah,
easy. It is easy because you can feel the effects on your body. Like I knew I was feeling these effects. I knew what I was feeling, what was going on, what are the things that I was struggling with.
yep. But
It's not easy to
face it.
yeah, it's not easy to break those bad habits
Yeah.
and stop eating all this processed food and not going to McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's and all these all these and I speak on this. I speak with this with people a lot. Is growing up, these places were privileges. It wasn't
Right.
like it is now, where it's a constant everyday thing.
Yeah. I remember.
Back in the day, it would be like once a month you would probably get McDonald's or something, or you weren't getting McDonald's every single
Oh,
day.
no. Oh, no. It was, yeah, like you said, it was like a special treat,
Yeah.
to be able to go to McDonald's and
Mhm.
get, you know, the fries or the burger or whatever. And I remember, and then getting the apple pie was like a big treat.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. And now it's just the everyday occurrence. It
Yeah,
wasn't like back then. You was not eating McDonald's every day. You were eating at home. You were eating good food.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and
home
now
cooked meals.
it's changed so much, and then the way that people is just the way people just eat all these different types of just processed foods and have gone away from cooking at home and preparing the meals. And that was one thing at the beginning of the pandemic. Me and my wife were doing. I was cooking regularly,
Yeah,
and we lost weight that way too because we was conscious of what we were eating and how much of it we were preparing, and it was fresh at home, and you'd be like, okay, I can do this.
and, talking about like cooking at home and eating fresher foods,
Mhm.
non-processed foods,
Yeah.
your grocery bill will be cheaper too if you buy real food versus the processed stuff. Because, I mean, you know, I don't know. Because if you really take a look at it, they don't charge that much for the real food. And even if they do, you're not taxed on it like you are on processed foods or like a lot of the junky stuff.
Mm.
I mean, I'm not poo pooing junky stuff because I like junky food too, I'll tell you that. Like, yeah, I mean,
Yes, but it's not
it's not
it's not
a
a everyday
consistent.
thing. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
like it's like with everything, it has to be in moderation.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is it can't be how we are now today where we're just overindulging in things because we can.
yeah,
It's not because we want to, it's just it's people just don't know when to say when.
yeah. So, it's like I want to challenge people to just change one meal in their day that's
Mhm.
not processed to not processed and see how that feels because your body's really going to feel the difference,
Yeah,
even if it is one meal. And then you'll start thinking, well, maybe, well, that's why they say, like, try these cleanses or these whatevers, right? Because for instance, if it's like 3-day cleanse or something, you're eating only fresh and real food, not,
yeah,
not any processed food. And then your body's really going to feel how different it's going to really feel like, oh my God, I kind of feel good. My stomach doesn't bother me as much as I thought it would. Or
yeah,
like if you go to a foreign country, for instance, and you start eating local food, of course, some foods are not going to agree with you, but
no,
in most cases, it's not going to bother your stomach as much as the processed
yeah.
foods that we get here.
When I would go to, when I went to Aruba,
Hmm.
the food was was made fresh.
Yeah,
The eggs were fresh from chicken. It was not like how
I know.
people look at it, "What do you mean from like, directly from the chicken?" Even in Puerto Rico, and
Yeah,
when I go stay in Puerto Rico, we have chickens running around, and my mom used to go collect the eggs, and my brother still does, and yeah,
yeah,
those were some of the most richest eggs I've ever eaten in my life.
yeah. And I mean, like fresh chicken,
Yeah,
I mean, like what we get in the supermarket is really not chicken. I can't, I sorry. I have this thing about chicken from the supermarket. I
yeah,
can't touch it and I can't smell it because it smells so icky. Sorry. Sorry. I know. That's why I don't eat chicken that often I mean, I don't eat chicken that unless it's really, really fresh
yeah,
or any poultry actually or any meat actually. I don't like eating it unless it's very fresh because you could taste the difference. That's the
yeah,
main thing.
you can.
And if you've actually had like the eggs that you were saying, really fresh eggs, you're like, oh my God, what was this thing that looks like an egg that I've been eating all the time, right? It's like I remember when McDonald's first came out and they had, remember, I forgot what, oh, was it the McMuffin maybe?
Yeah, that egg McMuffin had the real eggs, and then
Yeah,
you eat the bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit, and it had the folded eggs,
yeah,
and that was the liquid eggs. That's what they
yeah.
mean.
The
The
folded
folded
eggs are
eggs
like,
is the liquid eggs, yeah,
yeah,
and then the muffins
the
had
real
the
eggs.
round egg, which
Yeah,
yeah, I know because
yeah.
I used to work at McDonald's. I
Oh, okay.
was an assistant manager at McDonald's, so yeah, so the folded eggs is liquid eggs,
Yeah,
and then and for me it was like anytime I would order a breakfast sandwich is like, can you put a round egg instead of the folded egg? Because
yeah.
I wanted the real egg.
Yeah, because you could taste the difference. I'm telling you, because I remember when I first ate the folded egg, I was like, this looks like an egg, but it doesn't really taste like an egg.
Yes, this is yes, it's liquid eggs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just colored eggs.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's the real food versus fake food, I guess. And I'm not saying, fake food is all bad, but it's in
Mhm,
moderation.
mhm.
It should, I mean, some of it tastes good, so you can't like,
Yeah, yeah, it's the processed sugars and stuff,
yeah.
yes, yes.
But when you when you yeah, when you take it out for a bit, it's like I used to drink Diet Cokes all the time.
Yeah,
And that was my breakfast. Well, this was ages ago, but I would be a smoker and I would have my Diet Coke and my cigarettes for breakfast, right? That was my breakfast. And it took me a while to get rid of the Diet Coke habit, but once I did, oh my gosh, the difference that your body feels without all those chemicals and the smoking, right? I mean, your body feels so much more alive without all those chemicals in it.
I haven't had a carbonated beverage since January.
Wow. Wow. I like carbonated things, so I drink seltzer a lot.
Oh, I wish I could have a ginger ale right
Oh,
now,
but
like
you can't. I know you can't. Yeah, because of the surgery.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, but it was like a habit like that you have to kind of break it to sometimes, yeah, you have to take it out of your system a little bit to see the benefits.
Mhm. Yeah,
Because if you don't try anything, you're never going to know. And then you're
this
just
is true.
stuck in that place, right?
Absolutely.
And like I said, if you hadn't decided to get healthier and, because you want to be here for your grandkids, you wouldn't be on this journey.
No, no.
And
I would have stood um where I was at, didn't want, but it's I just I wasn't happy. Regardless of the face I put out there and there, um, I just personally wasn't happy with what I was seeing. So
yeah,
when regardless of how other people might perceive you and the I guess the facade I would put out that oh I'm this happy go lucky guy and everything's great, but no, life everybody has their struggles. Everybody and so to be able to speak on it and put it out there now and have this all come together and it's something like I'm realizing like I have to continuously share this story. I have to continuously show people that regardless of what it looks like, what the optics might look like, people still are struggling. People still have personal demons that they're battling and so
yep,
you can't really should never really judge anyone by an appearance because that appearance can be deceiving.
it can be. It can be very much. And the only person that really knows how you're feeling is you.
Hmm.
And it's if you're willing to take that leap and be honest with yourself or not.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're, listen, I've lied to myself all the time, right?
Hmm.
Many times. And it's not easy to be honest with yourself.
No.
It's really not. And it's really like taking a good look at yourself. And but also a good look at yourself, but not to bash yourself, but to
But that's
but
where the
to
problem is. That's where the
yeah,
problem is.
yeah,
Is we do bash ourselves.
yeah,
We don't take into consideration like, all right, okay, yes, this is um we're going through some stuff, yes, but instead of beating ourselves up like, oh, you really screwed this up. You're always screwing things up and saying those type of things like, all right, what did I learn from this lesson? What mistake should I not repeat? What is it
yeah.
that I'm doing that keeps continuously bringing me to this point? So
And
yeah, and so instead of like you said, beating ourselves up, just really focus on saying much more. friendlier
Hmm.
words to yourselves.
More gentle and
Yeah.
loving. And I think it really is about loving yourself, right? And I mean, it's hard, but it's like, let's see, in any my mentors, even when I'm, even in the Tony world, Tony Robbins world,
Hmm.
there's a way that we evaluate ourselves, right? Like after an event, we do what's called kanai, which is constant and never ending, was it investment or improvement, right?
Okay.
And so we always ask ourselves, what went well and what could we do better?
Yeah.
And I like those two questions. What went well? Because you want to celebrate yourself for what went well, right?
Yeah.
Because you did that. So, yay, right? But also, what could be improved? Because we constantly need to improve in order to evolve
Yeah.
and to stay, being human and being a better person and evolving, right?
Hmm.
And I know that when we're stagnant as human beings, we tend to get ourselves into trouble because we go into that deep dark hole about, oh, I didn't do this right, I didn't do that right, I could have done this, or that. And it's not about that. And we have to remember to deprogram ourselves because as kids we were taught, okay, bad, 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 right? Or like, y- um, how could you do that? That was so awful, or whatever, right? And it was those things that we remember, but we have to flip the switch on that and say, let's look at it from a different perspective. Let's see what was good from that. Even if that wasn't completely the result you wanted, it was still action you took. And what did I learn from that?
Yeah.
It's like,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's like that saying, fail, FAIL, is first attempt in learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No. And that's the thing is, we're gonna fail way more than we succeed,
Oh, yeah.
right? But it's how we respond to these failures.
Yeah.
It's how do we deal with the failure and make it so now instead of it being failure,
Hmm.
it's fuel.
It is.
Now it's
Yeah.
something that's it's fueling you. Now it's all right. I'm not gonna make that same mistake again. What can I do to avoid that? What do I have to do within myself to not repeat that same mistake?
Hmm. And that's it, improving on yourself. So,
Hmm.
um, it reminded me of this graduation speech that Roger Federer gave. I think it was like a couple of years ago, or maybe it was a year ago, right after he retired. He was invited to speak at the school's graduation, and he said, I mean, he's like the number one. He was the number one tennis
That's
player,
fair.
right?
Yeah.
And it was like watching him was like watching a dance, right? He was so graceful and just, but he said, you know, of the many serves that he hits, there are only a few that really land perfectly. And it's also with all the practice that he has to do.
But that's with
And
anything though. That's with
yeah,
anything that we do.
exactly.
The only way me and you improve on this show is by continuously doing it.
Hmm.
So now the more we do it, the more in tune we get, the
Yeah,
more our swords get sharpened because we're doing this much more consistently.
yeah,
And now every time we do the show, the next time we do the show, it's an improvement because we've learned from the previous experience. We've learned from what we did the last time. And so now you can see with each episode how much more the episode improves because we're growing. Because now
yeah,
we're getting used to these conversations and what we're doing, and now topics just flow off so much more easier, and we still continuously go everywhere in our conversations, but that's great. That's what I
yeah,
love about
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Is yes, we start on a specific topic, and we talk about this every week. Start on a specific topic, but the conversation leads us all over,
Yeah,
and that's how life is. Like
exactly.
as much as we want to just like, okay, yeah, we're gonna just want to focus on this. life just goes and throws you a curve, and now
Yep.
you just gotta expand and deal with it.
Got to go with the flow. And
Yes.
it's really true because, when you oppose the flow, when you go opposite the flow, it's so tough. It's like, it's really like going uphill, right? It's like more difficult. And why should we do that when we could just go into the stream and get into the flow of things
Hmm.
and just go with it instead of resisting it?
Yeah.
And when we resist it, it creates so much tension in ourselves because there's that feeling of, I don't know, that resentment. There's resentment that why do I have to, go against this, and why do I have to do this, and there's that. It's almost like a weight that's put on you, right?
Hmm.
It's like you're trying to swim upstream with a weight on you.
Yeah.
So it's easier to, kind of just say, okay, I'm going to go with the flow and we'll see what's going to work for me in this flow.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
no, definitely. You definitely have to go find and see what it is that keeps you flowing and going and again, like just the fact that we get to speak on these topics and get to express ourselves and have these discussions because these discussions that need to be had because we are two regular people that know the struggles of everyday men and women
Yeah.
because we
That's
are those everyday men and women.
Yeah.
It's not like we're celebrities or anything like that. We are just two hardworking people who've had life experiences who are taking those life experiences and going out and trying to help the world.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. And, and because of the pain that we faced, right? Like nobody likes pain. I don't like it. I mean, I hate it when I have to feel pain. But because of all the pain that I felt before, and I've come through that, I see people struggling and I'm like, let me help you because I don't want you to have to go through all the things that I went through. Or, you know, I know what it feels like to be walking on eggshells every day and, stuffing your feelings with food, you know, and
Yeah.
how miserable that can be and how you feel like. I remember how it felt like just in my own clothes. I felt like I was about to burst. And I always like to say this metaphor, but it's like when you boil sausage or when sausage is in a casing and you feel like the casing's going to
It's
burst.
bold. Yeah.
That's how I felt. Like I was going to burst out of my own skin.
Oh, I know the feeling.
Right?
Oh,
You know that
I
feeling.
know the feeling. Because even with my dress shirts for work, it just felt like the buttons, like any one of those buttons would explode and shoot somebody in the eye.
Yeah. Oh, I did have one funny story though. I I think one time I wanted to wear my leather skirt and I hadn't worn it in a while, but I was like, okay, I could finally fit into it and I could button it up. So I buttoned it up and I went out with my friend, right? We sat down at a restaurant and I forgot, I think I laughed or something. The button flew away. It was the most embarrassing moment I had. I still remember it.
Yeah, no, I know that feeling. And now my shirts fit me so good and like, oh, okay. Like
Yeah. That
it was to the point where it felt like but the buttons off my shirt was just gonna start popping everywhere and hitting people.
I know the feeling, believe me. I was mortified when that button flew across this room, and I was like, "Oh, shit."
You're like, oh, that was that me?
Yeah, it's like, oh
Yeah.
god, that's my button that came off from my skirt." I'm like, "Oh, shit." Believe me, that was embarrassing. Thank goodness it wasn't on a date or anything,
Yeah, that could have
right?
really been worse. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would have been mortifying. It was just a girlfriend,
Mm.
but still, it was still mortifying. I was like,
Oh
"Oh,
yeah, no.
crap."
Listen, I can imagine.
Well,
Just
it's better than
all you
tearing
hear
it.
is the button just poop, ding,
Yeah,
ding, ding, ding. You're like, oh
yeah,
wow, where
yeah.
did that come from?
Well, I guess it's better than ripping it, but still, it was pretty bad.
I've had that where I'm going to work and I get into my car and I just rip my pants. I'm like,
Ah,
oh my god! So I got to run back into the house and change and
yeah,
no
yeah.
bueno.
But it's really, I mean, we laugh about it, but it was sad, but we learned from it that we have to take care of ourselves
Hmm.
and, not to do things that are going to hurt us because I don't know what it is. It's like this society trains us that it's okay to hurt ourselves
Yeah,
a lot of times,
that's
and
crazy.
torture
Yeah,
ourselves. Yeah. And it's not. It's not okay to hurt yourself.
no,
And I remember just, sometimes I would just eat just to hurt myself. And I knew I was eating to hurt myself, yet I was still doing it.
it's with like anything. It's with anything that you know that's helpful to us. But if our mind perceives it as a danger to ourselves, it won't respond to it. It's just like when um people compliment you, but if you don't believe the compliment that they're giving you, if you
Yeah.
don't see it, it's just not gonna work.
Yep. Yep. I think my mentor always says, and I think he heard it from one of his mentors, is that if you can't see what I see in you, then borrow my glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because, like you said, sometimes we need that other opinion. We need somebody that's going to be a mentor for us. So it's like that whole thing where they say, you know, the that your environment, that who
Mhm.
you surround yourself
Yeah.
with is so important. Yeah. So,
And yeah, and I know people, it might sound like we say the same thing every week, but it's because everything ties in together.
yes, it
It
does.
all ties in together. So these are things that these are fundamentals that we have to keep telling you because these are things that we do constantly. We surround ourselves with positive, impactful people. We surround ourselves with people that we want to learn from, that we want to emulate because they're doing the things that we want to do.
Yeah.
So when you build those relationships and you surround yourself with those people, and you have frequent contact with those people, that's when you start realizing, okay, now I can start adapting what they're doing. I can learn from what they're doing,
Yep.
and kind of make it my own sauce now. Like
Yeah.
what part of what they're doing can I implement in what I'm doing, and it helped me,
Yep.
and it it improves on what I'm doing.
Hmm. Yeah. And having those, mentors, having those models is just your way of saying why, I'd rather make my life easier, right?
Hmm.
By surrounding myself with these people instead of surrounding with myself with toxic people who just pull me down where I'm always having to fight.
Yeah.
I'm kind of tired of fighting like that too.
Hmm. Oh yeah, it's even with like with what me and my nephew have started here and doing here. We've been trying to get people on board with us for the longest, right? And so now they see what we doing, and they're like, "Oh man, I'm ready to do it." I'm like, "Dude, we've been trying to tell you this for the longest. Like like, how am I supposed to really take it now? Like, you when I was reaching out to you and wanting you to do something, it was more like you didn't have the time, or you just didn't see what we
Um,
saw and the vision that we had, and now that you see it, you're like, oh, I want in. Okay. I don't know how to respond sometimes.
It's a tough one. That's a tough one. I agree. Yeah. But, people have their own times, right?
Yeah.
Timelines
Yeah.
and own times when things click. Um, yeah. And I guess it's kind of hard sometimes, but we kind of have to honor that. I'm just being brutally honest here. Sometimes it's like, why the blank should I do this for you when
Yeah.
you didn't even help me or even glance at me when, I asked you for this help, right? But, it doesn't have to be you though. It could be somebody else. You could say, well, I can't right now, but I know somebody that could help you,
Yeah.
and that might be a better fit for you because maybe your frequencies have changed so much. You've changed so much that maybe you're not going to be the help that you had hoped that that person would be, right?
Yeah.
So you could always tailor it that way. You can always say, I don't, well, I think the time you lost the timing because everything is timing too. Maybe they lost the timing on that. So you could kind of say that too.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
But it's come to that time of the day.
Yes.
Another time has flown by, as
Yes.
always.
Yes. As always.
But uh, another great conversation. Thank you everyone who tuned who catches the airplay on Real Wise TV.
Thank you.
Uh, um, I'm I'm good. What's going on? Anything you want to add?
Uh, no, just to, try to be as honest with yourself as you can. It's not easy, but at least be aware of it.
Yeah,
That's a
ab-
start.
absolutely, definitely. And thank you to everybody who tunes into Cognitive Cuisine. Greatly appreciate it. I'm Wil Otero,
And this is Yayoi.
and we're out.
Thank,
Peace.
thank you for listening.